Alright guys, Red here. Recently the CON42 event happened and we got answers to lots and lots of really insightful questions. Yogi Clapp, who's the senior gameplay programmer, Thorsten Lehman, who's the lead system designer, and Dan Truffin, who's the assistant design director, were all on the panel and taking questions. I'm just going to quickly jump through as many of the more interesting questions as I possibly can. Somebody asked if there will ever be a deeper survival mechanic, as in cutting down trees and making shelters and campfires, etc. The team replied that they're pretty serious about survival, although it'll probably take a more sci-fi slant, with maybe some cool pop-up tents or mobile shelters. All of this is still in the works, of course, and will take some time to go to live. Shared salvaging was also addressed. Right now, collected resources can't be shared and are currently marked as stolen between large crews. This is not intended gameplay, and in the future there will be group enabled with shared profit, but there are still some systems blocking it. It is being worked on though. Are salvage scrapers and the salvage scraping gameplay likely to get any more complex, like by adding certain scrapers that only extract certain materials? The team replied that hull materials remain undefined at this point, and differentiation might not be necessary between scrapers. Also, because this is only one part of the salvage mechanic, the team would like to observe the total level of complication involved in an average salvage before adding any more complexity to the scraping part. He went on to say that the complexity of the parts of salvaging that aren't in the game yet make them feel like the scraping is quite a sedate counterpart to what might well be quite a complex munching mechanic. But we'll have to wait and see how it all pans out. What is the status of ship armour? They have a functional Gladius prototype with some functional armour running in Squadron 42, but the pipeline to support scaling this up isn't available yet. Will we ever see an autopilot implementation? Apparently they can already do this, but whether or not they should is an undecided question. They said if they did decide to add it, there would also be a downside added, like half the speed or some other vulnerability. They also said they had bigger fish to fry, and the whole idea pretty much got dismissed and laughed at. But my own personal feeling on this is autopilot should be pretty standard, to be honest, especially if you're flying across massive distances from A to B and you're not in the pilot's chair, you're away engineering something or some such. Even basic speed regulation near a destination would be pretty helpful, to be honest. But that's just my opinion. When will we see a full lineup of women's clothing? They don't know, but they did say that they have a problem where the conversion technique for porting from male to female was causing a lot of problems for NPCs, so they're rebuilding assets to accommodate and make this transition faster in the future. When will we see a rebalancing of the ship components so that stealth, etc. all work as intended? For the weapons, the majority of the work is already done in Squadron 42 and will be moved over at some point. Ship components are tied to engineering now, and once that reaches its final implementation, we should see huge changes in how they perform, and differences between them will be more drastic, as in power consumption, heat generation, efficiency, etc. etc. How are trading missions coming along? The mission content team are currently focused a lot on pyro, and as the system is pretty lawless, that's not going to include a lot of trading. But once they get that done and get back into Stanton, this will probably be one of the main priorities, as well as all of the other solar systems. Also, with the changes coming in 3.19, with the mining rework, this will also affect most commodity prices and should make things more lucrative if pilots have to travel further distances. With component salvage coming in, what will happen to existing prices and availability from shops in the game? So, like when loot generation came into play, some items might disappear from shops and you will only be able to find them on AI ships. Prices will also no doubt be adjusted, but data will need to be gathered before all that can be balanced out. He also mentioned that some changes might be required to claiming as well, and that means that any components that you loot, you will not be able to insure. How many ships have CIG still got to come? The answer is ships will always be getting made and added to the game, as they are the heart and soul of Star Citizen. Are there any plans for player fleets that can be remotely controlled and piloted by NPCs? No, we want player-driven ships. And these player-driven ships can be assisted by NPCs at the very most. Although in the future there may be a more intuitive way to give orders to your player-driven fleet. Some sort of interface where targets can be assigned to battle groups in your fleet perhaps. And that would be absolutely epic. I think we can all agree. Are there any plans to connect buildings or outposts to cities and things like that? Apparently the guys are already looking at how to build a road tool, as they feel that outposts feel isolated. It will however take some time to make given the terrain and distance and the biome changes, etc. Is the gate station in the Iron Belt still in development? It has been put on hold and we'll come back to it when Pyro is out, was the answer to that. When will we be able to interact, place, remove the prospector bags? The answer is probably 319. If you get a fire on your ship, will it deplete the oxygen? Yes. What about player driven shops, like on the Banu Merchantman? Nothing to say on that just yet. Can we have a tax system for orgs so that members auto pay into a certain account? The devs are looking into and experimenting with things like this, and they will prototype something at some point, but it will likely be a piece of a larger org organisation rework. So that's pretty good news for all the orgs out there, hoping to cut down on all that accounting. Will there ever be a free flight QM drive? And the team pointed out the quantum boost feature that's currently planned. However, correct me if I'm wrong, as I understood that, it would be more for travel between, say, moons in a single planetary system, and you would still have your main quantum jump for doing larger distances. Will we ever get Dolby Atmos / Vision? Yes, definitive answer. This is big awesome. Can we get preset loadouts for our armour and weapons? The team wants us desperately. Obviously having the time is an issue, but they want it in at some point. What the hell happened to basic hex paints that can be implemented across all ships in a fleet, for example? Again, time and priorities was the issue, but it was suggested that it should be in the plans. Now that building interiors are being done, will we one day be allowed to land on the famous central building on Hurston? The dev says we are working on more generic buildings for now, but maybe one day. In terms of bang for buck, dev time requires that we focus on quantity. Any overhaul to the crime stat system, such as someone boards your ship at an outpost to try and kill you, but if you kill them, you get a crime stat. The devs were agreed that this is something that does need fixed, and that got a really big round of applause. And yes, getting crime stats and going to prison with no trial is one of Star Citizen's more unique tortures. With air and ventilation coming, will we see air being a deliverable commodity via ships? Yes, that is something that will be getting introduced. And for some reason it ties into work being done on ship refineries. When will friendly markers work again? Will we ever be able to place markers or have friend markers? The answer was that the star map and the radar are currently being worked on, and there will likely be more options as well. But they didn't expand on that any further. What will be done about hackers and cheaters and PIP wigglers? I don't know what PIP wiggling is, and I'm not sure I want to know, but they say they have a fix on the flight system side on the works, and there are teams for cheating, and obviously things can't be said out loud, as that would give the game away. But there are tools to catch them, and they will be insta-banning if they are found pulling 200 Gs and teleporting credits out of your bank. What's the current status on data running and hacking? No comment at the moment, which means they are cooking something up and they are almost ready to show it, in my opinion. Definitely sounded a bit sus. Will we ever be able to use the Mobiglass for things like opening doors on ships? Things like this could be looking at coming with the resource tech updates, but there are parts like the doors which exist on legacy tech that will need addressed first. What's the latest on multi-crew ship stations? They said we're looking to make it not only necessary but engaging, but also try and not make it forced. However, the workload for a skilled player might become pretty significant, and this will hopefully encourage multi-crew gameplay in a positive way. Also, this will scale with the size of the ship. Will it ever be possible to hack stolen goods clean to sell them at full price? Yes. will we ever be able to buy a 1 or 2 SCU box without having to blow a ship up with some stuff inside? And this is a great answer. Yes, but also we'll be getting purpose-built ones that may open up and have actual gun racks inside, and you'll be able to label them. That really makes a man moist. And that's it. That was the highlights anyway. I hope you enjoyed that little update. Remember to like and subscribe if you did. Remember there's a Patreon. 07 guys.